title of this one, Whoremongers in the Last Days. Man, this is a warning because as we are in the last days, Hasatan is trying to take whomever with him, and he is going to take a lot of men with him. A lot of men will be destroyed and get those get those end time judgments. That's not the kingdom. A lot of men are going to miss out on the kingdom because of it. And oftentimes what we see in this modern day culture is women get the blame, for being hoes and prostitutes and whores and all of that. But today we're talking about whoremongers. And for a woman to be a whore, there has to be a man that's willing to entertain her. When you look at the definition and etymology of a whoremonger, it's a man that entertains prostitute or a sexually promiscuous man when you look at the etymology. And men, you need to be mindful of who you're listening to out here, because there's a lot of men of worldly status, entertainers that will tell you, nah, you don't have to get married, and they're making this casual sex, this transactional sex stuff, seem like it's the way to go. And you will sit up there and be listening to these people, not realizing that these men are just spreading the message of being whoremongers. And you will not inherit the kingdom like that, because the Most High Yah didn't tell you to clean up an actual building. He told you to clean up your temple. Make sure your temple, that you are the temple of the living Elohim. And every time a man lays down and does something sexually immoral or fornicates or is a whoremonger, man, you're defiling your temple. And a lot of men, they try to say, like I said, put all the blame on a woman. But at the end of the day, you cannot blame anybody else for defiling your temple. It's not a 50-50 shared accountability. No, you are 100% responsible for the upkeep of your temple. Is your temple clean or is your temple dirty as a man? And I just want to bring this home, because don't think you are the exception as a man, and the court of public opinion and the societal norms is going to save you from the judgment of the Most High Yah. When we look at Ephesians chapter 5, verse 5, it says, "For be sure of this, no whoremonger or unclean or greedy person, for that one is an idolater." So all of those things right there, for that one is an idolater, has any inheritance in the kingdom of Hamashiach and the Most High Yah. Okay, so if you're sitting up here deceiving yourself, thinking that just because you go to church as a man, you good to go, and you just out fornicating, being a whoremonger. That's why I said, man, for every hoe, it takes a man in order for a hoe to continue on. In order for a woman to prostitute herself, there has to be a market. And a lot of men have become dating coaches and gurus and stuff like this, but nobody's talking about this fornication of the men and the consequences behind it. There will be consequences for it, and it would suck as a man to realize you got close, but in the end, when you look at sin, the etymology of sin not hitting the mark, you didn't hit the mark. You were good in all the other areas, but it's this stuff that is left unrepented, that you're gonna miss out on the kingdom for it. And the Most High Yah is constantly saying, when he's telling the disciples, man, go forth into the kingdom. Don't go unto the Gentiles, but go unto the children of Yashriel and let them know to repent before the kingdom of heaven is at hand. You don't want to miss on this little pleasure and lust of the flesh. You don't want to miss out on the kingdom for this. Some men, their best chance at overcoming this is marriage, because it's an increased responsibility, is a challenge to be greater. But just on your own, there is no challenge. And where there is no challenge, you're not having no discipline to strive to be better. Telling you, man, this is there. I see it daily where men let it roll off their tongue as if fornication is not a sin, as if whoremongering is not a sin, and it truly has to do with the message that is being taught in the church. Nobody's speaking against boyfriend girlfriend culture, so this stuff is being accepted into the church, building right now, and nobody's speaking against it according to the word. I'm telling you, when this in this last days, Hasatan is going to have more and more messages trying to confuse people and steer people away to the side of the law is done away with. And if you think the law is done away with, then there is no standard that you will be judged by. But even Old Testament, New Testament, there's a standard that you're going to be judged by. And a Mashiach is going to come to judge the doggone world for what they've done, good or bad. And I'm telling you, man, you cannot sit up here. I watch it on podcasts. Men sit up and say all this stuff, and oh man, these women ain't no good. You just got to sleep with them. What does that make you, man? The word says a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways, and that's a double-minded way for you to think that there's supposed to be a population of virgins out there that's head over heels for you, and you yourself have the behavior and the actions of a whoremonger. And I've talked about this before. Men are going to have to deal with the environment that they have helped shape. You know, don't be surprised if you as a man you slept with 50 to 100 women and never fulfilled a duty to them, you know, a righteous duty to them. When you do get ready to settle down and marry, don't be surprised if you catch a headache. Why not shape out a righteous environment for yourself? If you're tired of not being able to find it, maybe the intent in your heart was really not to find somebody. Maybe the intent was to be a whoremonger. Maybe the intent was to get your rocks off. Maybe you was just a squirrel trying to get a nut. Maybe you was just your goal was fornicating. Maybe the goal was being sexually immoral, because that's what's socially acceptable amongst men in the court of public opinion. But it won't be tolerated in the doggone end. It won't be tolerated. The Most High has got several places. I'm telling you. When you look at Ephesians chapter 5, this is where it's talking about, be imitators of the Most High. It says, therefore, become imitators of Yah, okay, as well-beloved children, and walk continually in love. Let's keep going. Just as Hamashiach also loved you and gave himself up for us as an offering, as a sacrifice to Yah, okay? It says, but sexual immorality and all impurity, offensive behavior, or greed must not even be hinted among you. So at the end of the day, can the Most High Yah, can Hamashiach find some uncleanliness in you? Where's he going to find that at? When you think about walking in love, if you truly love, the daughters of Yashriel in action, why would you do something that contradicts that? And oftentimes nobody is calling out the behavior of these men. All of these women ain't out here jacked up on their own. Somebody had to lay down and fornicate with them, and a man came along, and it was his responsibility not to defile his own temple. If everybody takes accountability for their own temple, a lot of this stuff that we see out here wouldn't be happening. But men, you need to think long and hard. Is that little piece of booty or that little bit of sex that you get, is it worth missing out on the kingdom? Is it worth being thrown in the lake and fire? Is it worth being outside the gate knocking because you almost made it in? I'll tell you that for my salvation, man, it ain't worth it. It ain't worth it. It is not worth it. Closer to Y'all Ministries, kicking it gun barrel straight.